it's give and take, which is a really good sign of a good team. So, running around, I think the physicality is there on both sides. I think the effort is great. It's not been an issue throughout the first 8 days. So it's been impressive. And I think, just like Herm will probably end up telling you is, when you start to see, each side making plays, I think it's a really healthy sign.
The overarching question throughout the rest of the offseason, you're going into next year, will be, how do you replace Malik and Deshaun and all those guys?
Yeah.
And I have felt like that you've got guys that can do it. Is that the case? Do you feel like it's
yeah? But I just think anytime you lose pros, I mean that they're losses. So other guys have to develop. But we're at Texas, and we should do a good job recruiting. And there's some backups that actually that play towards the tail end of the year. So guys that we trust and guys that know our package. To be seen, because those guys have played a lot of football. That's the one thing that you always lose, that experience part. But athletically, I think we'll be in the ballpark to be able to replace those guys.
And linebacker, Todd, I mean, obviously with Gary out and Freeman with the triceps, what are you seeing there? And
yeah, so we've been throwing a couple guys in and out of there. Malcolm's a guy, Jeff is a guy, so we've been kind of twisting up the lineup. DeMarco Boyd has done a really nice job for us too. So we'll wait on those guys to get healthy. I think Deli's another guy that he's a guy that we got to get ready for the Maryland game. So work in progress right now. Obviously, it's an opportunity to develop some other guys for the future.
Tom talked about maybe trying to find the right words here, but when you're installing defense this spring, I guess slowing down a little bit to allow the offense to catch up to speed. Can you put that in your own words, what the process is?
No, but I think at some point you have to be able to play some base defense, and I think it's, anytime you're going into a new year, especially in the beginning of camps. We did the same thing, last year, where it was like, okay, this is what we want to see, base defenses. For us, it's great, and then we have an opportunity to run later on some of the stuff that we, normally do. So it's I like it, because at the end of the day, if you're throwing guys at people and it's not successful, you're going to have to play some base defense. So it gives us an opportunity to do it.
So as far as he wanted to do, you never felt slowed down?
No, never.
After losing as much as you did off of last year's defense, what is the hunger, the excitement been like out here during this time, as far as seeing guys wanting to step up and fill those spots?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I think the one thing that going into the bowl game, there was a lot of questions about the same guys that weren't going to play. So to have those guys already be in the bowl game, have some success, and then roll that into winter conditioning, I think there is some ownership to guys like Anthony Wheeler, Charles, Brecken, those guys. Once you get some of the established guys out, I think there is kind of like, okay, this is our unit right now, and they've stepped up and they've done a really good job. And some of the younger guys, I think they're embracing the kind of hey, listen, they look around and Deshaun's not around in the back end, and Holton's not around, and Malik's not around. Hey, let's go pick this up and kind of play at the level that they did.
What have you seen
from? You have a lot of guys who are seniors in your group too. You could have at least 8 guys as constant contributors. What's that like for you to have guys who have been in the program?
It's good. I mean, these guys know a lot of football, but they're guys that now we can lean towards. I think last year, and I think this is collectively as a program, there's a lot of new stuff, and the culture's different, and they're not accustomed to it. And then we saw in winter conditioning where a lot of guys have, completely bought in. And then when you see them out there, it's almost they can develop, they can show a little bit more of their personality, which when you get that, then there's ownership to it. So like you said before, and I think some of these guys, they've had enough, and and it's time it's our moment. We're seniors here, and let's turn the corner in this program.
What have you seen from Malcolm Roach in that B-backer role and moving him around?
He's instinctive. He's just a playmaker. He's got really good vision. So you probably my best not to screw him up, to be honest with you. So I'm very thoughtful about we're moving around in different spots of how much and how hard I coach him, just so we can teach him. But he's been doing a really good job. He's a ball player.
How was Chris done with wearing that brace? And I mean, he's wearing a green jersey, but he's still been able to get in there and mix it up?
Chris is working his tail off in rehab, and we'll see how this continues to go. But with those veteran guys, especially a guy like that has a lot of reps, looking forward to him when we get into fall camp. So
when behind him, how does the depth look at the defensive tackle position and just the defensive line in general?
Yeah, I think TQ is doing a really good job. I've been really impressed with him. He's, sometimes you look the part and you got great strength numbers and then you don't go out there and play the part. I think he's been playing the part. So that's a guy I'm really fired up about. Christmas Giles, I think, is doing a really good job. Some of the other guys, without going into too much names, but it's like I said, some of those guys, I've talked about it beforehand. Breck and Charles and Nelly and TQ, those guys are going to have to go, and the other guys are going to have to collectively get their reps. So, but it's a good group. They play hard.
Is Jamarquis Durst?
Yeah.
Walk on or transfer from Tarleton?
He's done a really good job. I've been really, really happy with him. He's gone out there and he's played nickel for us, and he's made plays, and good kid, does everything we ask. I've been impressed by him.
Is he a 2 deep?
He's trying to work himself into the 2 deep.
What does it mean to you, have to do to kind of have this impact on your defense?
I think Charles has just got to just keep working on, the run game. And so we've been talking to him about it. It's he's going to have a future at the next level. There's no doubt about it. But they're not going out and drafting just third down specialists. That's not how it runs. So to me, it's we just got to get him to what he can do elite in the pass rush game. We got to make that the same in the run game. And he's taken some pride in it. And we've been on him, and he knows he has to get better at it. And I think he is, developing a little bit more of an edge to him when it comes to the run game.
Tom talked earlier in the spring about, specifically with a guy like TQ, kind of you guys in recruiting the linemen, valuing kind of versatility over specialization. Kind of put that in your own words and kind of what you guys are looking for.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the old school, like, plugger, like, guy that can, two guys. I mean, that's really – TQ is the kind of guy you want. He's, he came in, he was like 250 pounds. We knew he was athletic and run. He's a big body, big shoulder guy, and we knew that Yancey could put some weight on him, and he could still keep his speed. So those are the guys, like, when we look at, like, recruiting, it's like that's, like, what we want right there. And then if you grab somebody like Charles, who's a little bit leaner but longer, then you kind of move him in different spots. But TQ, to me, has the versatility to play all 3 spots.
How much does that help you when you're looking at, hey, with this opponent, can we go 4 down, can we go 3 down?
Yeah,
having the guys to
that's it. I mean, that's a big part of a guy that can play out on the edge and also a guy that can play on, on the center. So he gives us a lot of flexibility. He's been doing a great job.
When the season wrapped, the way that the guys came on in November, Brecken, came on in November, whether it was through that lightning package or whatever, what in your mind was the biggest takeaways from the last month in the bowl game where you said, okay, we need to carry this forward?
Well, I think it's just confidence. I think the crew was a little bit wounded when we first got here. It was still wounded after the Maryland game, to be honest with you, and then we had to change, kind of stuff that we were doing. But I think when they had success and they just cut it loose and they played without any hesitation, I think that's when, hey, listen, we have the ability to do this. Let's just cut it loose. But to me, when you have success and you get confidence, that mental barrier that you have, sometimes you watch us and you say, like, why did he do that? And there's that mental lock, whatever that may be, whether it's being a little bit uptight, trying to do too much. But once you get rid of that part of it and you just let the athlete go, I think that's what you end up seeing at the tail end of the year.
What in your mind was the turning point where you felt these guys are getting it, they're playing with confidence? What part?
I thought the West Virginia game was a pretty good game for us, just because we went on the road.
Knocked the quarterback out?
Yeah, it wasn't as much as that. It was, you became kind of like, we became bowl eligible, which was something that, hadn't been around there. And you got out of there and you said to yourself, like, okay, let's keep this thing rolling. So it was a coin toss, honestly, in the middle of the year. You didn't know which way this crew was going to go because sometimes, during our home games, we wouldn't play really well. So it was like, well, what group is going to show up? But I think that game kind of said, okay, we're legit.
What stood out to you about the early enrollee defensive backs, Stearns, Foster?
Yeah, they're unbelievable kids. I mean, we've had 0 issues, like, if I can knock on wood here. We've had 0 issues with those kids. They've been accepted by our vets, which that's, to me, what I look at. When a young guy comes into a program, I just watch the upperclassmen because they know whether, they're good in the locker room or whether, they want them to be great players because they're going to help them win. So I just watch our vets interact with them, and they've accepted. Probably took them like 2 weeks where they fully said, like, I mean, this is a part of our crew. We'll show you how things go around here. And they've been great. They've been really, really physical. They just work.
So far through all these practices.
I think the two older guys, Sam and Shane, you could tell they're older guys. they've seen, they've gone through this. They've gone through spring, the system, style of play, what we expect. They've got a chance to see the defense for a little bit. So probably a little more calm than last year. And the two younger guys are, they're swimming. Very similar to. Now, I should say this. I am impressed. I like those guys. I think they're very talented guys. They're smart guys. But when it gets out here, sometimes when the bullets fly, you could see that it struggles for them a little bit. All of it to marry into one. So, but I like what they're doing. I do.
The big question: Do you guys want a starter by the end of this, or do y'all want to go in the fall?
Again, it's. If one guy runs away with it and clearly becomes a starter, I'm sure we'll feel that that's the guy we're going to run maybe out there first. I don't know that we're sitting in there going, we have to have a starter by the end of spring. I don't think that's the case at all. And certainly fall camp, they got to prove it too.
Sure. How does the quarterback situation change, especially Shane, if you have a running game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it takes some pressure and stress off those guys to have to feel like they have to make all the throws and all the plays all the time versus whatever it is. And if your running game's working, you open up some things, you get some, one-on-one matchups because teams will crowd the box a little bit more. We saw a lot of drop 8 last year at times, so they could double a lot of guys too.
Is play action a thing that is big in this offense?
Well, yeah, it can be if you're having success running the football and then you play action pass those guys. Yeah, certainly.
That's Shane's game.
Well, yeah, all the guys can do that. They're all good at doing it. Yeah.
How's Herb Hand working with him?
I love Herb, man. He's awesome. Real positive guy. Very knowledgeable. He's I love him. He's a typical line coach, just great coach, great person too, and great person. So
how's that line looked so far? You have probably some healthier bodies now than you did last year.
Yeah, healthier bodies. Again, much like Shane and Sam, they're a little bit older. They've experienced a season and or practice. They understand the tempo. They understand the physicality we're demanding. So, it's you're coaching them now more on technique and fundamentals instead of everything. So you see a lot of improvement in that area right now, I think. Been very pleased with some of the guys up front.
In terms of the tight end position, obviously Reese is getting a look. How's he done?
Really good. It's great having guys there, to look there and you see Beck there and Reese there and Max, had been helping us there, big body guy, and Cade obviously is rehabbing his surgery, but he played a lot for us last year. So that's an area that was a weak spot for us last year is actually a strong area for us right now.
For Gerard, does slot fit his skill set better, and how much has he gotten better just because he can focus all his attention on one position now instead of
yeah, I think he's continually improving. Not fair to him. We've had to move him. We've had to. He spent half the time in my room last year because of our injury situation and depth situation at quarterback. So for him to be able to develop his game last year, he didn't have quite the opportunity that he has right now. So you see a really big improvement in him in this short time just because he's playing one spot right now, which is helping him.
Speaking of improving wide receivers, Devin Duvernay has taken a huge step up. Yeah. What exactly has he done to make that step up?
Just, it's everything with him. I just think that he's playing harder. He's made some big catches for us right now. Again, understanding the game, understanding the whole philosophy behind what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it, then you could coach guys up to go out there and do it. And There's not a lot. It's one thing I talk to our guys. Hey, let us coach you. You know what I mean? Like, don't resist, and let us coach you. And they've allowed us to do that. And even if we've changed some things or whatever, they've accepted it and moved on. So it's been a very positive spring up to this point.
Have you all had to change the way that you've coached the players? I mean, obviously last year was culture installation. You talked about that. It's not just about wins and losses. We got to lay the foundation of the program. Now that that's done, do you get to coach them differently?
Yeah, the thing I see is the leadership better. I don't see us. If a guy doesn't have good ball security, the players are on the player, not the coaches on the player. And that's those are signs that your program culturally is getting to where it needs to be. And there's much more of that. Guys not running off the field, and we have, little Jordan telling this guy, this player, hey, that's not what we do. Turn around, go back to the hash, and run off the field. That would have never happened last year. So to have guys that are actually doing that, that's good. So it does change you a little bit because they're policing themselves a lot more in some of the detail work, which is what needs to be the culture work. And so we were able to focus more on technique fundamentals.
Coach, we haven't spoken to you since before the bowl game. You didn't call plays in that bowl game. Tell me how you handled, Tom Herman's decision to call plays, and how do you feel comfortable with your role now?
Well, I think it was one of those things that Tom just felt like to get involved in the game, and we kind of collaborated quite a bit in that. So I don't know that it was a direct. I didn't take it that way. I didn't take it as a direct, like, hey, we're not going to do that. It was more like, hey, I could help. Let me get involved. Give me your eyes up there, kind of deal. So that's just how I took it. Hey, I'm a professional here, and coach is the head coach, and he makes those decisions. And my job is to go do whatever he asks me to do as hard as I can do it, and that's what I did.
How has that even been talked about this spring?
No,
not really.
Not at all.
Along those lines, though, Herb, he's been around, he's seen it all. How do you expect him to help kind of the formation of a game plan in terms of whether run, pass, whatever?
Yeah, I think just because of that, because he's been around, he's experienced, he's seen a lot of defense, he's got good thoughts in the run game, he's got good thoughts in the pass game. I mean, he's been successful everywhere he's been as a coach. So with that being said, and it's like all the guys. Derek and Drew and Stan and Corby, all those guys, as we game plan, this was never and has never been a one-man show. Right. And it won't be a one-man show. It's just not, it doesn't operate like that on offense. Now, maybe defense might be different. I don't know. I don't sit in their meetings. But on offense, it's not a one-man show. It's a group collaboration from Coach Herman all the way down to our GAs and interns. So if somebody has a good idea and there's validation behind it and theory, and you can see it, and there's rules, and it looks good, and we feel like, hey, this thing can help us win, it goes in. We don't say, hey, that's a chalk for Herb Hand or Tim Beck or Herb, Coach Herman. No, nobody cares. We just want to win,
But in the bowl game, though, one thing that Tom said that I thought was really interesting, he just said, I wanted to see how they were feeling, like some of the frustrations that you and the other guys were feeling. And on some level, is it like, here, take the headset, see what we're dealing with here,
No, I mean,
I don't mean it that crazy, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there were, I don't want to get into all of that, but there were probably situations through the course of the game that was true for him. What do I do? But like, now I know. You know what I mean? Right. Now I know what it was like. Mm-hmm. I think that could have been true. I'm pretty sure that was true for him during the course of the game.
You lose Hemphill Maps and Armonte. Is the wide receiver group as good as it was last year? Where's the wide receiver group?
Again, I those are good football players. They helped us win last year. But I'm focused on the guys that are here. I think the guys that are here are getting better. And again, part of it's the experience. It's all of it. It's us coaching them. We know how to coach them better. We know these guys a little bit more. So I think it's a combination of all that. I like the group. Obviously, we continue to look for depth to come in and fill because we've lost some guys, and that's going to be a big thing for those young guys coming in.
Tim, what's on? I don't know if a checklist is the right word, but what are your goals that by the time you guys walk out of that spring game that we have to do this to be progressing?
I think the first thing we said was we got to run the football better. That was the first thing we did. So we put an emphasis on that in this spring to be a better running football team. That's probably number one, for us to make sure that gets accomplished.
What's number two?
There was a variety of different, like 2As all the way down, but just like even, protect the football. We were 5-1 when we won the turnover battle. We were 1-4 when we lost the turnover battle. So the old adage, if you don't hang on to the football, you lose games, is pretty real for us. Penalties. We had a lot of offensive penalties, especially in the fourth quarter. A lot of them. I want to say something like over half I think we had something like 52 offensive penalties. I think 25 of them were in the fourth quarter, just on offense.
Tim,
and
sorry, in terms of running the ball, though, is it strictly personnel? Is it a bigger commitment to the run game? What did you guys evaluate that needs to be done to be a better running game?
Well, we evaluated all the plays. We kind of looked at them and tweaked some of them differently to help, whether it was a blocking scheme, a guy we might have read, an alignment, whatever it was. We kind of went through and said, how can we help our guys to be in better positions to execute? Plays. I mean, obviously, when you have a tight end now or two, you actually have, blocking surface there that does a good. I mean, Beck and Reese and Max Cummings, those are some big dudes now, and they can set an edge for you. We didn't have that last year, so it opens up some other things you can do in the run game because of that.
Speaking of tight ends, anything on Cade?
Just rehabbing, just going through
okay.
it, yeah. But, doing well. I mean, there's been no major setbacks or anything with him, and he's been working really hard.
What about Kirk Johnson?
He's been coming along, I think today was like his first day where he could actually kind of get out there and run around a little bit. Hasn't been in contact at all, though, so right now.
Thanks, John.
Okay, see you guys.